Hey, I am Kimbo, and I have a website, agirlndagluegun.com, and this is the YouTube channel. I'm in my kitchen, which I don't normally love because it's kind of echoey, it's large, but I need a big space because we're going to cut out a pattern to make the Barbie tent. So this has been in my Etsy shop for, I think, over 10 years. 2 years ago, I got hit with a copyright issue from Mattel because I used the word Barbie. So I'm just going to bleep out anytime I use the word Barbie. So I relisted it as an 11.5-inch fashion doll tent. How to get really creative with it. So if you have an 11.5-inch fashion doll that maybe looks like this, then this tent is made specifically for them. I mean, you can do stuffed animals in it too. You can kind of, play with it in a variety of ways. But this was kind of, my kids were big on the 11.5-inch fashion dolls. Let's do a drinking game of how many times I'm going to say that. This Barbie is not necessarily ready to go camping. She's ready to go glamping. I don't have any camping clothes I said the name again, for this kind of doll, so I need to invest in some. But I thought I'd walk you through it. Like I said, the pattern is in my Etsy shop, and I thought I would just show you guys how to do it. It comes with the full instructions, the pattern pieces, and then I included like the pattern to make a sleeping bag and a pillow. So anyways, thought I'd walk you through what you need to do to make the doll tent. Okay, so I printed off the full instructions. I really was just going to walk you through step by step. I get a lot of questions, here and there about how to make it. And so I just thought, I'll just do a YouTube video showing you how. I will link the pattern in my Etsy shop below. So if you want to grab it, you can. But you just need, I use flannel fabric. We're going to be using this cute colorful scallop, and then I actually get I like my tent cover, and then there's a window cover on the back. I like to do those in different colors, but you don't have to. You could use all the same flannel if you want, but I'm going to be using some pinks to go with that one. You also need some tulle. This is the mosquito netting for the window, so you can kind of use whatever tool, big tool, little tool. It's just kind of an added fun feature, if you can see. Let's see, you also need a cardboard box. This is going to be the base of the tent. You need some elastic and some buttons so you can put the tent door and window up. It's just a little piece of elastic, comes down like that, and the window works the same way. A dowel. So this is what I love about this tent, is it's held up with the dowel right in the middle, and you can plop it out, and it goes right down to like travel size. It just goes flat, which I love. Doesn't take up a whole lot of space. So you need a dowel. This one's a square one. I don't know why I had a square one and not a round one, but either one works, round or square. We're also going to be reinforcing this top part. I use skewers because that's what I have, but you can use a dowel or like a chopstick, anything small that can go around it. We just whip stitch right up. So I think that was all the supplies you needed. So it's not horrible. It's just a little bit of random size, but I had everything. I mean, I did buy the fabric special, but I could have used my stash fabric. So I had everything. Like I said, the dowel was the only thing that I think I had to purchase, but then I found a square one. So everything you might already have on hand, which is nice. And then of course, sewing machine. But I will tell you, I found this fabric adhesive. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. I'll link it below. And I used it, I can't remember, to hem some I don't remember what I used it for. I didn't want to sew. I used it, and it has held up really well. So even if you're not a sewer, I feel like you could glue this tent together. Okay, so we're printing off. This is our pattern pieces, and even in the instructions, I tell you what size they should be at to make sure that they're printing at the right size. And I kind of walk you through that in the instructions, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut out these pattern pieces, and then I'll show you how to assemble them. Now just make sure that you're not using your fabric scissors to cut out the pattern. If you know, you know. Okay, so we've got all of our pattern pieces, and there's only the 2 that you need to assemble, or there's 4 pieces that you need to assemble. Oh, I lied. And then the top piece. So you can see anything with the shading is gonna have shading, and then you're gonna glue that to cover up the shading to make your piece. So this is gonna be, of course, the top part. And then this one, I've glued that piece, and then you're going to assemble this piece and glue it together. So I'm gonna add glue all the way down the shaded area. I made this back before like technology was awesome. Like I had to kind of DIY it, you know, like now they have some awesome, you know, you can put in your stuff and it makes the pattern for you. So this is rudimentary, but it works. So there's the main tent piece. I'm gonna assemble the top, and then the other ones are doors and windows. Okay, we've got our pattern pieces. And like I said, I will have the measurement of what they should be to make sure that they're printing at the right size. Next up, we're gonna cut our cardboard. 11 inches by 11 inches, so it can fit snug inside the tent. All right, I have my cardboard cut out. I was gonna show you. I took out the dowel. This is a foam core board, and I'm just gonna hot glue around the edges. I'm gonna wait till the end though, because I'm not quite sure what kind of fabric I wanna use. But you just kind of wedge it in there. If your cardboard is a little thin, you can use 2 pieces of cardboard and glue them together just to make it a little bit more stable on the bottom. Where's my dowel? Some of my tent back together. So I'm gonna set that aside, and we're gonna cut out the pattern pieces. So I think I say it's 48 inches of fabric. But this one is directional. I'm gonna want it to all go like that. So I'm not gonna piece it together like I would have with this. So I got a little bit extra on this because, like I said, it's a directional fabric. All right, we are going to, this is folded over. You need 4 of these and 4 of these. So it's folded over, and I'm going to cut 2 at a time, just laying them out and making sure, my dog's coming in from outside, making sure that the direction's all going the direction I want it to go. Okay, hi. It snowed here today, so she's covered in snow, wet paws. Oh, Shaggy, huh? Can I say hi? So there is my first side panel pieces. Okay, so I'm gonna cut out the windows, which is this, it's the bigger. So we have the door, and then this is bigger because that's gonna cover the door, and the same for the window. So we're gonna lay down the pink, and since it's a solid color, we're just gonna piece it together. Now, like I said, I didn't finish my edges around the door. It just kind of, like this, I think I made 8 years ago. And I mean, it's held up really well. But if you want to finish your edges, you might need to make a seam allowance when you're cutting out the window curtain, the curtains and the door flap. Door flap. And then I'm gonna cut my window flap. While you have your pattern 4, you're gonna cut your tulle out of that. Got our flaps on our tulle, which is our mosquito netting. And then we're gonna take one of our tent pieces. They should all be the same. We're gonna lay it out. We're gonna take pattern 3. This is the window, and place it about 3 inches, which I do have a ruler, 3 inches from the top. Okay, I got you a little closer so you could see. We've got our tent side. We're gonna go about 3 inches down, and then I just wanna make sure that it's somewhat in the middle. And then you're going to cut this out. I do have a rotary tool that I think would make this really easy, but I am just gonna wing it because I don't want to go get it. So I'm just cutting a hole in the and then we're going to cut a door, same process. Now we have everything cut out and we are ready to sew. So we're gonna start by pinning. I'm gonna turn this over. We're gonna pin the tulle to the back of this window. Gonna pin it into place and then sew around. Got our tulle sewn on. The next step, we need 3-inch elastic. You can also use like a rubber band, like a hair rubber band, if you don't have any of this elastic. I'm gonna cut 2 pieces. One is for the window, one is for the door. And you're going to take your window or your door, you're going to fold it in half, making a loop. You're going to pin it at the top, and then you're gonna go back and forth a few times, sewing it so it stays in place. We've got the elastic on. This is our door panel. We've reinforced it. We've just gone back and forth quite a few times. My dog is jingle jangling. We're gonna lay it out. We're doing the same, the door and the window, same process. We're gonna take the door flap, which is the bigger rectangle, the window flap's the smaller. We're going to center it over the hole. You want to be able to have an overlap, and then you're just going to sew across the top. I'm just gonna pin across the top. You're gonna go over the elastic one more time. It's gonna hide those elastic ends, so you don't have to see the elastic. This is my door panel, and then this is my window panel. We're just sewing right across the top. Here is the tent, finished tent. So you can see we've sewn across the top. We'll add the button next, but when you lift it up, you can see the elastic underneath, and then when you flap it down, it covers the window. So the pieces have been sewn on. Here's my one flap, my second flap, and then we're gonna attach the button. I was originally gonna use these flowers, but I think they're a little bit too big for the elastic. So I'm grabbed, this is my button stash. I inherited my grandma's buttons, and there are just so many good ones in here. I love it. So I'm trying to find maybe a green or something to use. You're gonna center it in the, like right in the middle, and right above the elastic. So I'm gonna sew it on right here. And before I sew, I like to double check. I like to fold this flap up and then make sure that that elastic is gonna be able to like fit around it perfectly. So that's what my problem with the flowers. I don't think the elastic would be able to get up and around it because they're a bit bigger. So just hand stitch that button right into place. Centered in the door flap, centered above the elastic. Buttons are attached on both, and I forgot to mention I cut out, it's 3 by 5 inch strip. This is the top panel for the hook or for the loop. So you're gonna just basically make a bias tape. You're gonna fold in one side, and then fold that in half, and then just sew it down the line to make a tube. So that'll be at the very top of your tent. Let's assemble the base of the tent. We've got our window. We want to make sure that there is a solid piece next to it. So I'm going to put right sides together. I'm going to pin right here. We're just going to sew up the line. Where's my pins? We're going to sew along this edge. And then I'm going to open it up and add the door to this piece. So window, solid piece, door, solid piece. Same process. You want to make sure that this panel isn't going to get in your way. You don't want to accidentally sew it to the side. You're just going to put right sides together, match up the edges, pin, so now I'm going to sew all 4 sides. You are left with one long piece, and then we are going to do the same process with the top of our tent. Right sides together. Luckily these don't have any windows or doors, so it's pretty easy. Just gonna match it up. Pin along the edge. Open it up. This is the picture in the instructions. This is what it will look like when it's all sewn. Those are the 4 triangular pieces of the top of the tent. So here's what your pattern should look like. This is our top panel piece. These are the side panel pieces. And then you just have a 12 by 12 for that bottom, which you'll do last. So right now we're going to assemble the side pieces to the top piece. So you're gonna lay this out. You can see that's where you're going to be sewing along that seam. Right sides are together, and I'm going to match up my seams. So this seam where it connects with this seam where it connects. And it is a snug fit. This is actually a pretty easy pattern, you know. When you pin it, you're just, like this is one continuous stitch. You just kind of have to finesse the curves a little bit. So like, you've got extra fabric down here, but this is tight. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you are keeping this fabric out of the way so you're not accidentally sewing over that fabric. So you'll sew that line, and then kind of finesse and turn and put that fabric pieces underneath, and sew that line, and then finesse and sew that line, and then the last one. And then of course, be careful of the window flaps. Don't sew them in. Here's where we're at. One big piece. We're going to fold it over and connect that opening side. You're gonna do 1 stitch, down, down. Once you've sewn up that size, before you turn it right sides out, you're going to have a hole right there in the middle. You're going to take that 3 by 5 inch rectangle that we've folded up, and you're going to put the ends together. You're gonna put it down in that hole and then sew it across. Just like that. Before I move on, I like to pop it out and make sure that I did it correctly. So we've got our loop. Everything looks good. We're gonna keep it inside out because we are going to attach the bottom panel. So like I said, it's just a 12 by 12 inch piece. And I'm trying to, I want it to be facing the right way. So I have to be strategic about how I pin it to the bottom, but you're just going to put right sides together and pin it all the way around and sew the bottom piece to each of the side panels. I do find it a little bit easier to pin and sew each section. So I will pin that one, I will go sew it, and then I'll come and I will pin the next one. The sewing part is over, but before you turn it right side out, I know you're anxious to see it, we're gonna reinforce the seam that connects this top panel to the bottom panel. It will just help keep its tent-like shape. There are probably like official sewing things that can reinforce it. I am using skewers. It's real fancy. I'm just gonna measure each seam and then snip it off. And then you can whip stitch this. I am placing it in between the 2 pieces of fabric. You can glue it. I probably will glue it just because my name's a girl in the glue gun. But you can whip stitch it if you want. And that just kind of helps keep that form. So you're gonna do that on all 4 corners. I can't get that one in because I'm multitasking. I'm talking. Let me show you. There we go, that one went in a little bit better. So you're gonna slip it in between the 2 pieces of fabric, like the seam allowance. And you can just whip stitch that close so you can't even see it. The fabric covers that boning. Maybe it's boning. I can't remember what it is. But we're using skewers. You can use whatever you want. You just need something to keep it from collapsing in. And you're just doing, this is the top. You're doing this for all 4 sides all the way around. I wanted to show you. So I did 2 sides. So these 2 have it, and then this side doesn't have it. You can see how it kind of collapses in. Like this one's keeping its shape. And I did glue and I did whip stitch. I did 1 of each. And either way, whatever you want to do, it works either way. Guess what? We get to turn it inside or right side out and do the big reveal. We don't have a bottom piece yet. And I haven't cut the dowel to the right size. Whoa! Here is our tent. So it needs that bottom piece. We have cardboard. I cut an extra piece of cardboard. I just really want it to be sturdy. So I'm just gonna glue these together really quickly. I got this cordless glue gun. It charges, so this is the base it charges on. But I'm loving it. If anyone needs a good glue gun. I just kept getting really sick. I was outside trying to glue some Halloween decorations together, and I was like plugging it in and then run outside in a hurry and gluing stuff, and then it would cool down, and I was like, this is driving me crazy. I'm like, I need a cordless glue gun. Okay, we have our nice cardboard. I'm gonna actually make sure it fits inside. So I ended up going with the same fabric as the tent. I was gonna use, well, maybe. Okay, maybe I will do. Okay, I'm gonna keep it this fabric, and then I think I'm gonna do sleeping bags out of the pink so that it will pop. I just bought like 2 yards of this. I have a lot of it, so I kind of wanted to use it. So I'm just gonna center it on the cardboard, and then I'm gonna hot glue the edges up around it. If you have spray adhesive, that would work great too. It just kind of depends on what you got. So if you want to, you can cover both sides of the cardboard with fabric and make it look really nice, but it's just up to you. If you've got the extra fabric, you can. Hot gluing and wrapping it around. And then you're just gonna place it inside the tent. I do have a bunch of strings that I need to just trim off, but I gotta go cut my dowel to the right size. It tells me what size, 19 inches. Here, I'll just steal the dowel out of this guy. Got a dowel. We're going to just put it right up to that top piece. Look, we did it. We made an entire tent. I timed myself and it took 2.5 hours from filming. So that includes the intro, adjusting the camera, explaining things, walking back and forth to my craft room to sew. So realistically, I feel like you could probably accomplish this in an hour, hour and a half, just depending on your sewing skills and if you've got, unlimited time, no interruptions. But look at how cute. I love that you can pop the dowel out and you can fold it flat and you can slide it under your bed or away, out of the way. And then when you're ready to go camping, you just pop that dowel back in. So cute. I will link the pattern. It's in my Etsy shop. I'll put it in the description below. It does come with a pattern for sleeping bag and pillows, and literally I use the scrap fabric to stuff my pillows. I use it to make the pillows and to stuff my pillows just because it's there, why not? And I will give you a heads up because I had a bad review on Etsy. Someone was upset because the sleeping bags are not the right size for this size of doll, which if they're not. When I created it, I was just kind of thinking like, they're in there, they're sleeping, it's fine. I wasn't really imagining them out in the elements needing a sleeping bag. I wasn't really picturing camping. So if you want to adjust the pattern and make it a little bit larger, you sure can. So I just want to give you that heads up because I don't want any more bad reviews. But I wasn't really thinking that she was going to be in she's got high heels, for heaven's sakes. She's not really out there camping, but whatever. All right, and it's about that time where I politely ask you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would love for you to follow along. I just love making all things crafty. I especially love this project because I was a huge fan when I was little. My parents even built me a giant house that's taller than I am, and I had all the details, and I played with them far longer than I probably should have. And then when my daughter started playing with them, I was like, let's make them a tent. And my daughters are now 21 and 17, and so they're not really playing with them too much. So I just want to pass along. So if you have little ones that want to play with their dolls or their stuffed animals or whatever toys they want to go camping, this is just a perfect, cute little project. As always, if you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. I'll try to get to them and answer. The instructions for the pattern does have a lot more detail that I don't think I mentioned the seam allowance and things like that. So it is in the instructions, but if you feel like I've missed something, let me know. And have a great day. Thank you so much for watching.